Ad Hoc Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to order. Thank you for being here. Our small but mighty group. We do not have an opening circle tonight, so we're going to move on to a recap of the community conversation. It was awesome. I really loved it. I guess I didn't know exactly what to expect. I knew through our conversations with Tim that that it was going to be good, but I think it hit in a different way, and I didn't realize that until I was in the room. And I love that as a committee that we were able to expand into that subject, because it is a part of DEI, and what really stuck with me, because I went home and I thought about it, and I woke up and I thought about it, and I thought about it for a couple of days afterward, was how much it meant to everyone that was in the room, because I think we all walked away with something. I thought Steve's not here. I don't know if he practices at home in the mirror, but I'm like, do you need a talk show? The whole setup with the chairs, like I feel like we need to recreate that in the future for whatever we decide to do. But I think he was a natural, and he let Tim kind of tell his story and was able to like move it along. I thought he was brilliant. I hope maybe he can watch this. And it all kind of fell into place. Like the library, Jen, when I asked like, we want to do this, do you know of anyone? And Tim responded, and I was like, it just happened like so perfectly. I was just telling Ellen before we started, the live stream has over 130 views. So I think having that session like live streamed and recorded, I think that by that evening it had like 80 something, but people are still revisiting it or visiting it for the first time. So I would love to get more people in the room, but that's so nice to have if people cannot join us. Anyone else want to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So feedback that I had, so once a month I run a support group for parents with children with disabilities. And those were the core group in the room, and they talked about how blown away they were. They felt so touched, like, and understood. Some takeaways they had were basically, okay, now what's next? Like, what are you guys going to do next? I was like, I don't know. I was like, just started there. But yeah, so they're just like, what's next? And then like, can there be a part 2? And I had so many follow-up questions, but then it was just like, he was on the spot, but you didn't want to put him on the spot for certain things. And so yeah, everyone really, like our first 30 minutes of group, they just talked about Tim and how wonderful he was.
I wonder about that for follow-up, because it did feel like, I don't know how we would do it, but it did feel like we put an idea out there and we explored it. And I know Tim was so grateful. He emailed me like a few consecutive times afterwards, like, I just want you to know like how much this meant to me and like how important it was for me to share this story and how he's grown. And but yeah, I wonder like, what is the follow-up for the people that really felt seen in that moment, and then where do we go from here? Can we, with all the topics there are to yeah, what do you think about that?
So I really did feel that even though it didn't feel rushed and it didn't feel like things were cut off or anything like that, but it still felt like there were thoughts maybe that needed more air. And like you, Tahira, I went home and I was like mulling over things, and so many things that I maybe take for granted and haven't been, really mindful of. And so especially from that perspective and maybe other perspectives, I do think a second kind of, not a debriefing, but closing the loop kind of a conversation is really valuable. I'm not sure that needs someone other than Stephen to moderate it. Like, you know, it's not like asking, maybe sometimes some of them need like, okay, let's ask the expert or let's ask Tim the question, but some of it may be more internal to the community. And that might, I mean, that will take more organizing, I know, but I do think that that's actually not a bad strategy for everything.
Right.
Like if there is a speaker or a community conversation that way, the next one, or there's like a smaller low-key thing where just folks who attended or those who didn't or those who watched the video, if you want to join in the conversation to kind of talk through our thoughts and maybe what we can do as a community, because that's the one part that we don't really get to in many of these, although we call them community conversations, they're mostly one directional. There are questions that are asked, but so I think it might not. I mean, you might know if, like, I don't know, in the support group whether folks had thoughts of how what other than similar events, are there other ways that the town can be supportive or the community can be supportive?
And so this kind of like jumps into other conversation where we talked about the human library and how it would just be nice to have that person that you can check out and just sit with and conversate with. And like, you know, even get advice from, like, what did your parents do? And how do you go about this? And how did you get connected to the community? Because with this group, you don't feel it's socially isolated when your neurotypical child does not connect with another child. You know, and so they struggle in that. And so how do we bring that from out of there? How do we, because I was just saying, like, will anyone be a human book? Will anyone, you know, be a book to take out? And you're like, not sure, we have to see how you do it. And so, you know, there is some hesitation from coming out, but there's also like some want, some need.
Right. One small piece, and I didn't want to put this on Tim, so I'm glad he offered it himself, is please give everyone that attended my emails, which I sent out to everyone. Yeah, I can send it to you too. I didn't send it to the committee, but everyone who attended as part of the conversation, because I feel like he felt connected to the room, and it was also not done for him, you know, that evening. So,
yeah. So I think we're talking about two constituencies. I mean, some people were there and are still feeling, you know, have personal experience and situations that they want to explore further. And then it's also for people who might not be so identified with directly with the situation, bringing people in to understand that these are our neighbors and these are people who have, you know, special or needs or different needs and different ways of communicating that we should be talking about and sort of educating the broader group as well. So I think, you know, it's a lot. Yeah. And one other idea I had too was, it doesn't exactly follow what you're saying, but I think our book talks are really good ways to engender conversation about things, and maybe that would be a topic that we take up from one of our book talks, just in addition to that.
Right.
Hi, David.
Hi. Is our meeting being videotaped for public access, or?
Yeah.
Okay, and is that the plan going forward to have them?
We don't know. Daniel appeared today. We don't know anything about it. He's here with us, and
Howdy.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I was just going to ask a question. So after like the community conversation that we've done, like even this last one with Tim, do we survey? I guess. Do we survey, you know, the participants? Yeah, because maybe that's where we'll get some feedback from the community. Hey, answer these 3 questions. What did you think?
We know a great survey guy.
I know, huh? And yeah, he wears many hats. But yeah, and
it
like,
is a good idea.
where else do you see us making connections in the community? How can we be of further assistance in that, like, open-ended question?
Can we ask the people who watched it? You know, like, is it, we could post something to say, if you've watched this video, here are some, you know, you have feedback.
I suppose we could put it on
In the comments, in the YouTube comments?
Right, but like for future, we could put it at the end of the video itself or something like that.
Right.
For this time, we could put in the comments if people see it. We can also post it wherever we posted the video and.
I was thinking maybe we could even do a Facebook post on our
Yeah.
Facebook page,
Yeah, yeah.
because they do
That's-
polls there.
That's right.
So you can plug something in there
Yeah.
and get feedback.
Okay.
But, and then for the future, we
Yeah.
just do it
Put it
also in the
in.
moment when people are leaving,
Yeah.
like at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if it's a quick, like, scan this QR code.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And we need a QR code.
We got it.
I know.
We can do
it's
that.
easy.
Yeah.
Great, but just to add, I mean, overall, I think it was so terrific, and it's so meaningful to participants who were there and for our committee as well to take that step, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This is all great. So maybe we can talk more about how to follow up and ask Stephen about the survey. Can definitely put it on Facebook and something like that. Anything else on that for everyone? Okay. Earth Day, Saturday, April 27th. It's from 10 to 3. Ellen and I talked, we probably can't be there the whole 5 hours, but maybe a 2.5 hour slot would work.
I'm sorry, what time to what time did you say?
10 to 3. I know at our last meeting, David offered to head the table, but he's no longer able to do that. He has another commitment. So Jennifer has offered to take that on. Do you want to
Talk a little bit about it?
talk a little bit about it?
Sure. And so from this last community conversation came discussion around the human library through some feedback I received. And so I shared that with Elsa here, and I said, have you guys ever heard about this? And I sent them a link. And they were like, yeah, we want to do that. And so I went and I said, okay, I don't mind taking it on and like sharing it with the group. And the human library, have you heard about it? Yeah. So it's excellent. So I keep watching all these videos because now I follow everyone. And it's just amazing to see the connections. But I think what we're going to have to do is figure out a way to recruit folks, recruit our books, and then teach people on just how to treat the books and then how you can take out the books. So I think it's going to be a whole process. And so we were discussing it further and talking about having it at Earth Day. And at Earth Day, maybe we have a laptop set up or something where someone can see a video of the human library, or where we could also have sign-up sheets if someone was interested in sharing their expertise or whatever that expertise might be. So I was open to doing that.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I just meant like, so do you mean that the first time we talk to the community would be on Earth Day, or will be some kind of?
So just throwing ideas out there. It could be the first time.
Okay.
It could be. Or it could be a slow approach where we put it out there on social media and then you see it and you sign up.
Right.
Right.
No pressure.
Well, yeah, just sign right
You
here.
kind of like that post, so.
Right.
I think this is a wonderful program, particularly since we have different, we're about learning about each other's community, and I think it's pretty neat. I was also thinking this summer, when we have the concerts on the green, in which you have a captive audience with not a lot to do. And sometimes with Earth Day, I wonder if people are kind of cycling, moving quickly, and we won't have. I mean, this is a thoughtful thing that for people to really value. Almost like 5 or 10 minutes being interviewed by the human book, if I got it right. So I could see that And I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not to, but I could just see that as another venue that it could work.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's great to have it there. I think we thought a little bit that having it at Earth Day would be a teaser.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like to introduce the whole concept, that this is
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
we're gonna be doing, like, look for it. And that possibly we could have, oh, I think that's here.
Girls.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly we could have videos on a laptop of people who do something related to Earth Day. You know, maybe talking to an environmentalist or a scientist or something like that, just to,
But I think we were thinking teacher, yeah.
yeah.
To your point, I imagine it being similar to Woodbridge Community, where it's like you're over here, and it's not like conducive to having like
Yeah,
intimate
yeah.
conversation, so.
I could imagine it could be fun.
Where's
So
Daddy?
I have like Chinese ball, a string, and one could, you know, make a book out of, you know, like, use that as the base, the infrastructure to make our big sign for human.
Look at your creativity.
And it's something big, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
to scale, because the human is a big size book.
It's true.
Jen, you said you have videos and stuff like that, so maybe once you roll it out, we could like on a weekly basis or something, one of the posts on our Facebook page would just be, you know, like a series of, you know, videos or
Yeah.
updates.
And maybe that's the tease.
So I was wondering if that should
Yeah.
be before or that follows your Earth Days, but I don't know how you envisioned it.
Well, I'm bringing it to the group. Yeah, I think it could be that way. It's almost like, you know, when you have to listen to an Amazon book and it's like, okay, let me hear a snippet of it.
Right.
And so you get the snippet and you're like, well, maybe that's good. So maybe that's something we can do, but with the after recruitment of the human books that we have from
Right.
town.
Yeah, that would be good.
And I guess we don't have to have too much content because we're figuring different people if we just keep playing the same thing over. Right? So I think that's good.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And it's gonna grow. You know,
That's right.
So.
And then were we thinking in an event where, or is it going to be kind of like
I think we should
Check out
definitely
the blog.
post an event.
event?
I don't know about those events.
Yeah, I know. Even though
We
we're
should
not.
definitely post an event, and it could be here in
Once we
partnership,
have,
with the library.
once we have,
Perfect. I think that's a wonderful idea and a right on brand. And I also want to make sure that our table at Earth Day is also like broad, as well as like, okay, well,
What else?
like our core mission, like so people,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it really ends up feeling like, oh, for any Woodbridge citizen, or anyone who's excited about DEI in general, because
Right.
we're trying to serve as a hub for everybody.
And
It's
maybe
also
that's-
to- oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, maybe that's another area we do a survey.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
a good idea.
another area we do a survey, hey, have you been to this event? Have you heard about all our, you know, programs? Come check us out on our Facebook page.
Right.
And then find more here. We can definitely do that. And then talk about how it all meshes together with Earth Day.
When Ellen and I were talking, we were saying we really don't have any materials about who we are and what we do. So I think this would be the kind of place where we want to have something. So I'm going to work on a brochure that, you know, that has our mission and some of the past events that we've hosted, and make it colorful and lively. Follow us on QR code. It's just QR codes. Every
Just
side.
scan
Yeah.
back, see that, and scan back to learn about that.
But that's a great idea. to
Follow
have
us
a
on
survey.
Facebook.
Hey, can you
yeah.
put in a little ad, like for a volunteer to help Ellen? Just put it in.
Jen, what help do you need from us in the next?
I don't know just yet. I'm like still, I want to put together, I'm trying to have folks be able to visualize. So I don't know where we're going to be at, if we're going to be on the green, and if it's going to be a sunny day,
Right.
and if it's like, you know, and so if there is a laptop out there and the sun's, like,
Right.
who's gonna stop and like take, and, you know?
Right.
So, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best ways to approach it. I've been looking at the ways they recruit people, and it's at the library. So, yeah. But I don't want us to be in the library, we talked about us
Right,
being,
right.
because then we'll be away from the whole event.
Right.
But to attract people, to David's point about something big, you know, you can get a cutout of like a famous person. Like, I will tell you something, it was Hillary Clinton's body, but a picture of my face on Hillary Clinton. And maybe we could do that. You know, we could get one of those cutouts, and I don't know whose face we would put on it, but something to mark our table that would attract people to the table.
Right.
And you know, I think we'd just bring them over, and then we could explain like what a laptop might have, you know.
What about a cutout that looks like a person but actually is a book?
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
what you were suggesting, like kind of like what you were suggesting? Like a big open book? That's what you were thinking of, right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
I didn't.
just getting a couple of recruits for our table. No, feels like yeah, when we ultimately do it, either along these lines are all great, something of scale.
Something that
Right,
gets
that was-
people
That
to see us.
either the kind
big.
of like, those are, I know that one can, you can get those of iconic people, you know, that I know that, you know, that you can,
Right, or we could put some local person or
Exactly.
something,
Yeah.
or
yeah.
How about the person, people who get, what is the, I'm so sorry, I don't remember the name of the award. There is a Woodbridge Award.
the
Would
golden,
you like me?
the living treasure.
Oh, the
Yeah.
legacy? What I'm
It
doing.
got like the last 5 years of whoever the Woodbridge treasure.
Oh, that's interesting, why, you know, why are they?
Why are they the living treasure?
As the interviewees, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great
I've never
idea.
attended any, so I don't know much.
I
Sorry.
attended all of them.
So there you go, okay. So you,
Oh, right, did you?
So I can, I can tap into that, that's a good idea. I was also thinking, so I'm envisioning this life-size book and pictures of people. So maybe there's a little bit of recruitment, like even from our group on, you know, what would you be able to share as a book, or what would be your expertise? And it could be Stephen, the moderator, on the front, and his expertise, and then check him out at this date, or, you know, whatever. And then the next page, large page that you
Yeah.
turn would be, I don't know, if we decide to use Nika, and say, okay, let's tap into him, and not as,
Great.
not as his role here in Woodbridge, but maybe who he is as an
Life
individual.
experience.
Right.
But yeah, like looking at it that way, with this big book in terms of.
Great.
Something-
These are all great.
Somebody's had to do that.
Definitely
That'd
help
be
with that. Well, I do think we have one more meeting before Earth Day, so in this next month, we can kind of finalize some ideas, and then we can come back to the group and
For sure.
recruit people for the table. Okay. Anything else on Earth Day?
Do
Uh,
you just want a brochure on Earth Day? Just a brochure for DEI? Or is there anything else that you guys want to share?
I don't.
can we get a
Yeah.
copy of each of the books that we've had the book conversations on? Like a copy, we can all
Hard
check
copy?
it out from
Yep.
the library or buy it or whatever. Just one copy each, and keep it on the
Them all.
table.
Okay.
Also, I think could be helpful in terms of telling our story is even having flyers, you know, copies of old flyers, either on the table in a poster board format to say, you know,
Is
Oh,
what we've done.
like, you know, that's part of the story. And then, maybe by then will we know when Woodbridge like B-Day will be?
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Have that take out.
I would hope to hear by saying, did you get the books?
Oh, yeah.
I have them. though.
Yeah,
Oh, that
yeah, and I have a couple.
So I'll give them to you, and then you'll be in charge of
Is there
it.
anything
Yeah.
else you're putting on your list that we need to divide up?
I'm just gonna work on the brochure, I think, for Earth Day, yeah.
They're not giving the books out, it's just for people to see.
Just to see what
Right,
we've
right,
been,
right.
yep. Okay. Moving on. Witness Stones project. Do you wanna?
Sure. So we talked about the Witness Stone project last time, and Tahira and I felt we were tasked by the Witness Stone project people to look for community partners. And we've spoken to Mika about it, and he's very interested in the town supporting this. And the library is in to do this. And we reached out to the Historical Society, and they said, well, wait a minute, we've been working on this for the last 2 years. Who are you?
Oh, wow.
And so we had no idea, and it was very surprising that the Witness Stone project people didn't tell us that there was a project ongoing. So the Historical Society is very deep into research about an enslaved family that lived at the Darling House.
Wow.
And so we met with them today just to see where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's left us thinking that we need to circle back to the Witness Stone project people to understand, because they didn't even mention to us that they had this Woodbridge project going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of to see, should there be parallel tracks, or how does it work together? What else they need from us. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
Right, and we will talk to them, and it's a small organization, and see how we can pursue this and see how it fits with the Historical Society.
Dr. Ronan, all right, I'm trying to get her focused on it. So.
Fine. Yeah. At the Congregational Church, the Reverend there has turned it over to people on one of her committees, and so far we haven't really heard anything enthusiastic. But one of the people from the Historical Society thinks she can get somebody from the church. Now, I don't know if she's looking. I think the Historical Society kind of person, they're kind of working on their own. This is their project.
I think they're working on, well, this family alone, but I think they did say that, I mean, there are many, many families
Yeah.
that were enslaving people. So I think there are many stories to be told, and they would be interested in partnering with us on telling
And
their story.
they've done remarkable work. So.
It'd be really great to have an event, and to just hear these stories. Are people noticing on NPR that they're telling stories? It's been really
Yeah.
inspiring to hear.
Yeah.
What time does our meeting need to be?
At 7:30.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Moving on to outreach initiatives and updates. We did cover the Human Library Project, I think, enough when we talked about Earth Day. Did you want to say anything about the AMB Board of Ed meetings?
Yeah, so David went to a meeting. Thank you so much, David. And you can, if you want to talk a little bit about that, I think what's happening is, we're recognizing it's not so easy to cover them. You give your experience. But we think it would be a good idea if people can to go to the meetings. I don't think we're organized for people to go and speak for our committee, but for who we are, just to be there to listen to what comes up, because at the last meeting, we thought there would be a lot of DEI talk, but it was about de-leveling. So, David, do you want to update on your experience?
Yeah, so I kind of went and collected some thoughts about this issue, and maybe the board is getting more focused in the public comments rather than having them be general. It focused on the budget, focused on de-leveling, which can be seen as an issue that families are really putting attention to, and there's all statistics that are saying de-leveling can be a benefit for. But I think I could imagine that some of the comments at this meeting were critical and kind of blaming DEI for bringing in de-leveling into our community, and this is the slippery slope to ruining our schools. So I think we have to be monitoring that,
So David, I think the last meeting was a special meeting that
Yeah.
was focused on
Yeah,
the superintendent giving the board an update on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
learning or something. So, which has a different tone, I think.
yeah,
than-
yeah, a general meeting. So one has to, we just have to be thinking, and so it was kind of funny or interesting that, so I go up, someone goes up there, attacks the leveling and blames it on DEI. So I said, well, of
That's
course,
wrong.
that's my opening. Well, little old me, I'll get up and get in line, and so I get started, and the board chair kind of like says, oh, you know, this is a focus meeting on the leveling, and I said, well, I'm responding to the other person. And, you know, and so he asked me to sit down, and it made sense to just sit down. And someone come over and said, oh, they're talking about the budget, you could shove in and come back. And I just decided that it's just best to kind of, you know, and it really wasn't, it was, I was neither, it was almost, you know, I wasn't embarrassed. It was like, okay, this happened. But we'll have to just be thinking about what we're doing, what's our function. And one of the key organizers in the anti-DEI community, Rena Seltzer, she actually passed away this week. And so, you know, so it's an interesting matter.
Thanks for going.
Yes, yes, definitely.
I think sometimes they just like seeing people with diverse opinions in the audience, even if we don't say anything.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's very unidimensional.
Yeah.
Other outreach, Mohit, do you want to talk a little bit about just an update on our Facebook page?
Yeah, Tehara keeps me on task.
Gently.
I'm trying. So Tehara had this idea of how we might keep, you know, the algorithm working by posting something periodically. And the good news is there has been opportunities to post stuff periodically over the past month since we met last. And because of my initial lack of sophistication in navigating Facebook, we actually have two Facebook pages. One is a page and one is a group. Because I made the group first and then realized, oops, the default of Facebook is that it's a closed group. And so once you have made that group, you can never change that setting. And that's okay, but that only allows people who then ask to join the group to be in the group. And that is growing, you know, every single week, so that's fine. But that is not a shareable option or anything like that. So then I basically just mirror whatever I post in the group also on the Facebook page, which is open and shareable. And about 4 months ago, when I did this, I already apologized to everyone. I was like, I'm learning on the job here, so. I think that every so often, every week probably, I'll get some message or the other saying, you know, I'm going to share this, is that okay? But that means someone is taking a look at it. Laura always shares whenever she can, so that's nice. We did share when Beecher recently had their international night. We shared that, organized. We shared that. And I think that was, I reached out to the PTO to make sure that it was all okay for us to share. But I think that way we're also kind of interacting with other local organizations, and they'll hopefully amplify our message, and we'll amplify theirs, and see how it goes.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
We needed it.
Well,
Yeah, she did. Anything else to share on other outreach, updates?
I thought of the idea of, what if we had a Woodbridge potluck? And I don't know if we, you know, when one could start it, one could do it with our committee and a friend or something, you know, almost like I think it'd be interesting to see, and it might be to come to the potluck, you'd have to bring something, but I think could it be an interesting way through food, people talking about their culture, you know, could be kind of a fun, I don't know exactly where it would be or when it would be, could be a kind of like food and a conversation, or,
Right.
you know.
It's like a Woodbridge International Night.
I know. Sounds like something you just organized?
Oh, is that really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so.
And that happened at Beecher.
And it happened at Beecher with Beecher families. And what was interesting about it was a different audience that came out. Not the typical audience that comes to other PTO events. And like we had families from all over. It was such a beautiful way for
Right.
everyone to be able to come in and connect and talk about, oh, I'm from Egypt and I'm from Iran.
Oh my God, so perfect. So that's just really what
And so what we did was we sold tickets though, in order to purchase food. Because you probably come, home cooked food from other people's. You know, you want to be mindful of that. And so we sold tickets, $20 for an adult, $10 for a child. And I think I got at least about $5,000. And so we ordered food. So there was like, it was a good amount of people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, a good amount of people, served a good amount of food, had a lot of food even for the next day for teachers to
So,
have.
there have been like 100 people?
Oh,
No,
more
like
than that, way more.
more than that, even more than the tickets that we sold.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
And you have a
yes.
cafeteria?
It was
at
in the
Beecher?
cafeteria, so we
It's
served the
right.
food,
Uh-huh.
the kids, everyone goes
It was
through.
fun.
And it was a good time, and then in the gym, they had tables, there were 11 countries that were represented in the
Wow.
gym.
That's
So
incredible.
it was very nice, very beautiful. So it's a lot
Organized.
to organize, and then what we really apologized for was because it was also lockdown. And so there's a time, those families weren't able to eat until much later, but they were able to experience everything else, which was nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Great.
So that would be great.
Yeah.
The Woodbridge International Day,
Right.
International Day.
It's a great idea. I can imagine how huge it was at Beecher, but easier at Beecher than community at large.
Yeah.
Right?
And
That's
interesting to
take a
think
lot
of like the problem of people bringing their own food as a, there you go. So,
And allergies.
But something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if it's International Day without the food, these people were just willing to share about their country. The Japanese family that dressed up, they were so beautiful. It was so nice.
Is there a way that we can connect with those families and they could have tables at Woodbridge like Me Day? Like
I
just
can ask.
representing,
So there was a table from Iran, and I've never seen, I mean, some of my friends are from Iran, but I've never seen them really be so active even in the school. So I feel
Mohini
like
does such a good job with the henna table, right? And it's like,
Hannah Day, right?
yeah, right.
Mhm.
And I'm
that's-
sure that there's activities
Right.
that could,
wow.
It would be great to add that to Woodbridge Like Me Day.
yeah,
And one of the things we really want to expand is performances.
right.
And if we have.
We're moving on
bunch
to
of
Woodbridge Like Me Day.
families-
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We will.
No, that's the next thing. Go
Oh, it
ahead,
is,
keep
yeah.
talking, yeah.
And this seems like a great entree to new people who could really participate and enrich that experience.
That would be great. I can reach out to those families for sure.
I think that's
Would you see?
Right,
So,
yeah.
good.
To have a little international visit section. Yes, so to double down on what Ellen was saying, I think the performances are really, they're the gem, right, of Woodbridge Like Me Day. I think when you're watching them, it's just like so heartwarming. So the more we can expand upon that, add more diversity to those performances. So if you have anyone in mind, if there are folks that need to be contacted before the end of the school year, I know like the Beecher Band, we let them know, in May, because once the school year starts, we have only a few short weeks before Woodbridge Like Me Day. So it's good to get definitely at least for the schools, to get on their radar in the spring. So if anyone has any ideas now, we can talk about them, but if you want to think on that, you can always, talk about that. We have a little bit of time. But I think it's so great for the kids. There's a real sense of pride there, both from the performers and from the audience, right? To really be a part of such beauty.
Will we aim to do it on the green again? I mean, indoors was nice.
Indoors does have its,
limitations.
yeah, it definitely did have its perks. The parking was amazing, right? You just park and walk right in. Some of the performers prefers that level ground to perform it, like on the green, it's, it's grass. So some performers preferred that. It felt a little more intimate because we're kind of designated to the two hallways. I do like the visibility of having it on the green. It feels very community-like, right? Even people driving by and seeing that something's happening really lends itself to the feeling like, oh, there's something happening in my town and people are out doing things. So I definitely want to hear everyone's input, but my thought is it's lovely to have it on the green if it's possible.
And hopefully we can have the Amity option
Good. Right.
for rain, if we don't just do it indoors.
Right.
And have we decided to move away from the run? From partnering with the run?
I'm sorry, move away from?
Because it's the Woodbridge run, what is it? It's a
Oh,
run.
the road race?
That
The road
happens at,
race.
the road race
Yeah.
happens at 8, and as a, occasionally when I run, you kind of want to go home and get dressed and leave, rather than say, oh, I've been up since 7,
Yeah,
I want to stay from 11 to 2,
right.
and that's just.
Yeah, so initially, when Woodbridge Like Me first started, the rec asked us if we could do it at the same time, just so that we could kind of share audiences. And it worked well. I think last year it became a problem when we were at Amity, they blocked off the road, people had to go around to get in, and that got a little hairy. So I think we should touch base with rec, see if, because it started that way.
Right, and I think outdoors it was not a problem with closing off roads, it's just because of where the road race goes. Although there was some there too, I don't remember now, but that is an issue to look at. But initially it
The
was to have the
roads, yeah.
synergy, because it was called, it's called like Woodbridge Day, I think. The day of the road
Is
race.
that right?
Oh, is it?
Or wasn't it some have some, there's a Woodbridge road race?
Yeah.
Well, I think there was that, and then also that then there's, the town employees are available to help us and are there, and so it's practical. I think we just have to
Talk to
them,
rec and
see what the town thinks.
Do you think it has grown since then?
Yeah. So I don't think we need each other in the same way, right? I think people would turn out just for Woodbridge Like Me Day, and the people that are going to run the race are going to run the race. So, okay, so we'll see.
Like the library, I don't know, it seemed to help to have it the same day. There are disadvantages to it.
Right.
I agree with really trying to do it outdoors, and then if it doesn't work at Amity, I feel like we have such a short, nice weather period here, like we really wanted. I still remember the first 2 years where it was outdoors and it was just so gorgeous.
So different. Yeah.
Everyone was excited to be outside and
Right.
stuff like that.
Okay. So let's aim for that.
And hopefully have more background.
Yeah,
Right,
for
back
sure.
up.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really
So
fortunate
good.
backup. Okay, I don't have, if everyone can think on like ways to expand performances or expand in
So,
other ways, that would be great.
Part of me wondered, could we have some like final moment, like a DJ
Right,
or
you
a song
mentioned
or
that.
something that
Mhm.
kind of says, okay,
Yeah.
it's not just everyone having their own experience. We're all
Mhm.
going to have a communal experience for a part of this.
Right, yes, you mentioned that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, linking Woodbridge Like Me to the human library idea, which may not necessarily be that they were from Woodbridge, I actually don't know. But remember there was a lady who came and did some salsa dancing,
Yeah.
like a session. And I wonder if we could kind of, if then we can link further, like through the year? I don't know if she has, does she have a studio somewhere, like does she have
I
something?
think she's in Westville.
Okay,
I think so.
but
The one that came to our
to
event,
Amity, like we.
or the one that, oh, the one that came to Woodbridge, like me,
We did.
she was recommended through Sophia. She does live in Woodbridge.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we can continue to, not advertise, but shine a light on folks who give their time to our event, and then we
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
remind people of their availability, or
Right.
maybe they post something, and
Right.
all of us will be salsa dancing. So.
So for international night, what we did was like there's some publicity. So basically, we ordered the food from all these restaurants, and in front of the food, we had where the
Right.
food came from. So the restaurant's name.
Mhm.
So everyone's like, oh, this is from there. I have to go there. So we should do something like that for
Yes.
sure.
Then they might want to come back next year again.
Right,
yes,
Yeah,
right.
because it's-
I like that.
It's gonna be amazing this year.
Even better, yeah. Okay. To vote on the minutes?
I don't think we have a quorum.
We don't, yeah, we can't. Okay. I
Great.
think we're, that's it, unless anyone has.
Is the next meeting April 17th? Is that spring break week?
Is it spring, yeah, if it's spring break week, we have a problem.
It's April 17th.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. I think we're going to have to,
I'll be away.
unless you guys all want to come to Disney.
I think people ought to go.
So should we reschedule so that we can talk about Earth Day?
Right.
But it's a
Should we try to,
different-
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's the week before,
The week before? Is that okay?
the 10th.
Wednesday, April 10th.
Mhm.
It's a special meeting.
Extra special. Should I let the library know, Tony, or
What day did you decide?
Wednesday, April 10th?
Let's do I have a doctor's appointment that evening, so that somebody else could certainly take the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
I might be able to get that in
Okay.
time. I
But
just
one
it's
of
at
us-
5 o'clock.
Can one of us take minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Will you let Jen know?
I will let you know.
Great.
Absolutely. No worries. So,
Good.
Great.
Just something to flag, something to be thinking about. It seems like just the national discourse about DEI just keeps getting hotter and more contentious, and sometimes wonders, are we missing an opportunity to not have some kind of structured conversation or forum, that if we do it in a thoughtful way, to have people be talking about these things where people can raise concerns, or or if it's a panel, or if it's safe listening. I don't know. It just seems like there's something important happening in the country that, we have some whatever. Just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been talking about that, and it's hard to figure out exactly what to do. I know that there's a lecture I signed up for at an ethics institute, I think that's affiliated with Harvard, which is something like, I think it's about DEI. Is it left, is it woke, and how DEI is being attacked from the left and the right. And certainly, I think that a lot of the things we hear do not fit at all with what we believe and what we're doing. But if we don't sort of straighten it out, is it just left out there for people to put their own definition on us? So I think that's a big question to think about. I don't know the answer, and who, I mean, put a lot on Stephen to just, to have him just lead that, but I think we should think about that, and maybe there is somebody who can speak to it. I don't know if we found the person.
Yeah, it's been on our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just percolate that.
Because, people who don't like certain concepts set up like a straw man. They say, okay, this is what it means and it's bad. And we realize, no, that's not what it means and it's bad. So,
Or we just do it sideways, by kind of
just moving.
acting DEI and not talking about DEI. It's kind of what we do.
Yes,
Which
which
what-
feels
yeah.
more comfortable, certainly, for who we are.
And I'm never sure, I don't know, I'm not so savvy, but I'm never sure when we hear things on the news or the media, like the left and the right are attacking DEI. Is it, like, what is the left? Like, does that represent me, or is that something else which is the left, and what is the right? And most people, in my mind, are going about their business, going to school, picking up kids, cooking dinner, coming to international night when the PTO organizes stuff, and are not really not even thinking, oh, am I being pro DEI if I go to international night, or we feel like, oh, nice food, let's go hang out with all these other people. And that's, to me, that is the sideways approach towards it, which is not forcing people to explicitly take a stand. Social media forces us to kind of end up taking a stance, and not to say that we shouldn't have a conversation, but I just don't know necessarily that we change that many minds by having an explicit conversation, that we don't by doing all these wonderful things that we're doing.
Very good point. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's right, I just...
And I think, and I was even an advocate for wondering, should DEI be in our name? It was part of, as we thought about it. But, for example, there's this character, Chris Ruffio, who has been very effective at organizing the right, blaming DEI for everything, and, what's happening at universities and happening in institutions. And, people could come up with examples where they were, I don't know, we'd have to really think about it, but I think that we don't want to feel that we are having this conversation in a bubble, but you might say, well, to what end,
Well, it doesn't feel imperative. That's true. Except some of the Amity discussion did kind of feel imperative.
For sure.
And so that's very local. Tried to deal with it there. Yeah.
I want to bring up, do we have time, or are we on time? I'm at 7:35.
I mean, we can
It's fast.
adjourn.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll send it to you by email.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. It's not directly related to what we are proposing to do or anything that we talk about, but it's directly related, I suppose, to DEI. So as you know, I'm in the Department of Psychiatry, and so we love to talk. Or we should be listening, but we also love to talk. And our department is very diverse. It's probably one of the most diverse departments in the Yale School of Medicine. I think, I don't know the stats. So I got an email today from our department, and it really, for me, made me very happy to be in our department. And I've been there for 20 years, so you're not always happy. But and the reason is because I've really struggled in my head as a person who is not directly impacted by any of this, for how we might. What some of our silences signify sometimes. So I'm just going to tell you what our department is doing, and I don't think I'm not asking us to talk about it today, but I'm hoping we can just think about it a little. So it's dear members of the Department of Psychiatry. So it's really for us. And it's like, with the stress of ongoing crisis in Gaza and Israel, gatherings for healing and processing will be held from our department. And they have 2 sessions. the first session will be an iftar gathering facilitated by an imam and one of our colleagues who is a neurologist and psychiatrist who is Muslim. And they've listed out the details and they said, Muslim or Middle Eastern and North African identified individuals and anyone who wants to listen and learn are invited to gather. And the second session will be facilitated by a Yale University chaplain and another colleague of mine who is from Israel, and they've listed the details for that. And again, those who would like to listen and learn are invited to gather. And then dinner will be served for both sessions. Mm-hmm. And I just felt so, there have been emails that our school has sent out, and there have been protests against the emails that the school has sent out. But I think that we don't have to pick one or the other. We don't have to pick, political sides. We know large swaths of people are struggling, suffering. And we know that in our own community, there will be people who are directly or indirectly suffering from events that happen around the world. So it really struck me because, I've wondered with so many conflicts, and I've actually argued the opposite, like how many conflicts are we going to say anything about? But then when I think about, we don't have to care what happens in the rest of, in any geographic location, but we do care as members of this community about people here who may be struggling. And I just bring it up as a thought exercise, maybe to talk about whether we should, whether we shouldn't, and whether we, if there's something in between that we can offer.
That leaves us plenty to think about.
I like the conversation of your.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so interested to see how they structure it, what it looks like. So you'll have to report back.
I'll have to, I've heard Ilan, who I work very closely with, speak, and it is incredibly powerful. He has such a personal perspective, and is strong. And is still so kind. and I know Hamada, who's the other physician on the other day as well. So I'm curious to know.
That's great. Go, yeah.
Yes.
Do we need a motion to adjourn if we don't have a quorum, Tony? Well, I'll move that we adjourn.
Okay.
For a second.